How's my audio coming through on this? Am I good?
Call the meeting. Pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible. Good evening. These are the bills. These checks from we received in the credit system. Emergency and medical, $165. Jonathan O'Hare, $261.29. Monthly income total. $116,364.90. Currently, we are staffing, as always, 4 out of 6 ambulances. One at ALS level 100% of the time, operating 2 ALS. When ALS staffing permits, along with full-time paramedic chase car, staffed daily. My car is up and running as a chase car as well. 1 transfer truck when available, which is more than usual. Ambulances, backs up the ambulances when not doing transfers. Minimum of 1 ALS staff member at all times scheduled at Medic 3, compared to August staffing, 2 or more per day, 84%, which is down from the 94%. Due to some went down to 60. Transfers 39 last month, last reported in September, but it should have been August. We were promoted and currently working on more personnel. This time we have no full-time openings for EMTs, 2 applications on the waiting list. 2 new part-time EMR drivers hired for the transfer truck, along with 1 part-time paramedic. We have 2 full-time paramedic openings due to 1 went to Wheatfield for higher wages and 10 part-time paramedics. And 4 had left for various reasons. Higher wages, school, graduated to nursing. Training was completed, EMR training, which is what we're doing ongoing now. On top of that one, safety, last reported injury was 3/5/24. Ambulance maintenance, all the ambulances are currently up to date. 514 is in reserve status. No one is. We'll discuss shortly. 85 is out of service for safety reasons. 84 is up to date. Side door and oxygen were fixed. And 4149, which is Explorer, is currently running. It was scheduled for service at the end of the week, but it was done today. And my car's scheduled for service, but it's going to the skill center to try that out. Base maintenance. Estimates are being prepared for Knox base for the wall repair after being backed into. It was backed into not once, but twice within a week. And they were using a spotter. It was so tight getting in and out of there. Grants, they're beginning to open again, searching for grants and donations always.
Let me stop you one time, that base maintenance, which one is it, the base up here,
Yeah,
and how much we lack?
on which one?
I mean, do we need to make them wider or?
Yeah, we need to make them wider. Definitely, the ambulances with the mirrors, you have 3 to 5 inches clearance on both sides at a maximum.
How much bigger of a door can you buy?
They're
Yeah.
10 foot doors now. We can go 12 foot. Is the progression because the ambulances are getting wider. They're not the old flag style.
Common thing, right?
Yeah, all the bases. Grovertown just got backed into the hot water heater because they couldn't see it because the sun was in their eyes and it was so close that they backed in too close. Judson, they backed into the wall numerous times. It's just a repetitive issue.
Why don't you look into getting estimates, no promises, you know, we'll get some estimates.
Got it.
We keep. Yeah, repairing all the time.
Yeah, might be cheaper just to
All
get
right,
them done. We did receive a donation for $500 from Bass Lake Fire Department. That is going to the memorial monument we discussed once before for all of 911. Line of duty deaths, active people, you know, somebody who has done great things for the county that was from fire, EMS or police. So we're taking donations for that now. PPE is in good condition. The new coach should be here next week or so. So earlier today, since things have got a little reversed on me, I went to the council for permission, pre-approval, pending tonight approval for the ambulances that we had discussed last month. I did my homework. I went and saw 7 ambulances. Each one of them had a various degree of rust. Out of the 7, I saw 1 in New Jersey. I looked at 2 of them in Illinois, 1 in Wisconsin, 2 in Indiana. The only one I got service records from was the one that I told you about. That had a turbo issue that they didn't tell me about. I found it in the service records. That's $12,000 route, but that it has a turbo issue
that we had to deal with.
that we'd have had to deal with. And who knows what the other ones had. They all had over 100,000 miles on them, except for the one with the turbo issue. So I went to the council this morning and asked for a pre-approval prior to this meeting. After thinking about what was said, I found a different route to take. Because I was gonna come back next year because we have another one's getting ready to retire. Because it has over 210,000 miles. In the pictures right here is what they call a type 2. It's skinnier. And I decided it needed to go to Chicago for a transfer. Fits down the streets better. If you ever tried to get down Main Street in the morning at Birdie's when all the traffic is there, it's hard. So this one here would fit down there. That one's $107,500. That's brand new. That's 200, has 897 miles on it. It was a demo. It would get serviced locally right up here at Crossroads, still in Indiana. With that, I also asked for an additional 238,000 for the type 3 that we were looking at to begin with, to be delivered late December, early February of 2026. Somewhere in that general vicinity.
And we'll be at 26.
And that would be late 25, early 26, yeah. I do believe it was approved pending approval from commissioners to come out of seated.
Even at 238.
Even the 238.
So what if we get this, you're getting it for transfer, what if one of our ambulances go down?
That the transfer unit right now is one of our best running units. Transfer unit will go back into full status. It only has 118,000 miles on it. So it can go into full-time status. This one will be a backup as the backup medic too.
So, but if we quit transferring, we could still use this for an ambulance, right?
Oh, yeah,
Till
absolutely.
it's done.
Till it's done. This one comes with a full factory, 5-year chassis, full Ford warranty, 10-year structural content inside.
Mark, are you hearing this?
Yeah, I'm hearing it. Am I coming through clear with you guys?
Yes.
All right, cool.
I think it's a good idea.
I do, especially we can use it for an ambulance if we quit transfers.
Mhm.
I don't wanna quit transfers and then you say, here we are,
Nope.
new vehicle.
Well, there we go, just sublease it to Amazon.
There we go.
I think that was,
As long as it pays for itself.
that was Todd, that was the five, yeah.
I have a motion for one of you guys.
I'll make the motion that we approve Jim's request to purchase the ambulances,
And this is for
just this
two,
one.
two separate pieces of equipment, the Sprinter van looking thing and the more
Yeah.
traditional ambulance.
It was two, it was the first one and then the second one to be taken out late 25, 26.
Donnie,
I don't want to lose that one.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
since you have a second now, so this discussion, sorry, Jim, I don't believe the council approved the $236,000 one, just the $107,000 one. The commissioners probably would want to do more due diligence on that other one. Get more bids, whatever, that's a lot more, but I don't.
I thought that it was approved because Todd asked me if I was in line for it.
For the one, yeah, for the one you got, and then you said, no, it's a demo.
I have to go back and check on that one, because I thought they approved both. Because I asked for both of them, because he said, are you gonna lose it? How soon are you gonna lose this one? But
Was
this
that
one
one
is
about the
available.
demo one? Yeah.
Well, I think let's worry about this one, get it.
Get it going.
Get it.
You can get it soon.
Yeah, I could get that in a couple weeks.
And amend your motion and get the second one later, or did you only say?
Well,
I
I,
think we can let the motion stand and then address it sometime next year if need be.
Okay. Motion and second, all in favor?
I,
Aye.
Aye.
That's all I have.
No.
Evening, everybody.
Evening.
We're here for the second reading.
Yeah.
And audit. You guys need to look at this again.
Well, on that second reading, Justin, you gonna make a motion or? Just,
I mean, you can pass it if you're happy with it.
is there a cost on? Usually if there's a cost or a fee, we gotta run it through unless we suspend them.
it's all unregulated ditches.
That's for all the county ditches.
So,
So, and that's for section corners.
Section,
not the-
yeah.
so
Okay.
That's
since
the
it,
monuments that we put in the ground.
Yes,
since it prescribes a penalty, once you pass it, you'll have to publish it in the newspaper and then it'll take effect 30 days after that publication.
motion on,
So we can actually adopt this.
Yeah, it just
tonight.
won't be effective until 30 days after you publish it in the paper.
okay,
Do I publish that in the paper or do you guys publish it?
Teresa, I believe, take care. of it.
The auditor- the auditor did?
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
Mark, are you good with it?
I suppose.
So that second,
Yeah, oh, yeah. I didn't realize there was an actual motion on the floor. I'll second that Charlie's motion.
Yeah, let me make sure, because I didn't really do a motion, I'll go ahead and make the motion that we adopt the ordinance for the section corners.
I'll second.
Very tight. We, yeah. Yes, it might be.
yeah, sign next time you're in, Mark.
All right.
Does it have to be signed by Mark before it goes?
Yeah, I
I
would say
believe
so.
so.
I'll be in later this week.
All right, thanks, Mark.
Oh, you got?
Just, an update on the two things that,
Yeah, that,
that Charlie talked about. I did some more research and I've got Autumn, our county, our drainage board attorney, also looking at some stuff. Did find that the drainage boards themselves, because these are unregulated ditches, there's no funding in them. They have no really jurisdiction over them. So that I do know. Now, as far as trying to get funding through you guys, I have to do some more research. And I'm gonna reach out to a couple of the other surrounding other surrounding surveyors and ask them if they've got anything and how did they go about doing it.
okay, and that's for the park.
And no, that's for the unregulated ditches where we have beaver dams,
Oh, okay,
trees,
okay, got you.
and other debris that in the channels, which there's no funding in those ditches.
Right,
We can't extract anything
right.
out of them. We got lucky that Mr. Park was able to do the Marks ditch, but the farmer paid him the beavers.
Right.
Okay, and then, so that's one thing. We still have the dam's still there. So we still have, if we get real bad rain, 450 might flood.
Right.
So I'm just saying, if you've seen the pictures, got pretty damp
Oh.
the last time it rained. And then as far as the park goes, the RV park, been working with Amy and nothing has changed as far as that goes. I guess she's gonna talk a little bit about it too also this evening. So that's where we're staying for right now, guys.
And the first ditch you just talking about, that's where a farmer ditch is flooding or about to flood?
Well, we've got pretty close, yeah.
Okay,
And it was, and we got pretty close on County Road 450, the east side of 35.
right.
That goes down into Bass Lake.
Okay, but it's not a county ditch. It's farm.
It is a county ditch.
Oh, it is a county.
That's what I'm saying. It's a county ditch, but there's no money invested in it.
Okay,
So there's no assessment.
gotcha.
So that's what I was trying to get, and I'll do a little bit more research. And I got Autumn looking into it too.
Sounds good.
Okay?
Yep.
That's it, gentlemen.
Thanks,
Thank
Tom.
you.
All right, thank you, guys.
Amy?
Hi, guys.
Hey, honey.
I really just wanted to come today to introduce myself. I'm the new superintendent of the parks, and I brought with me a list of what I think will be important priorities for the park. And Davidson is here too. He's the newest member of the park board. So here are the things that I think are going to be kind of important. I'm not asking for anything today. I just want you to know what I'm kind of looking at. Tom's idea, that's second on the list, the stormwater drainage system. I like his idea. He's spent a long time trying to teach it to me and help me understand it. So I know he has a few more pieces to go to get that squared away. So maybe you'll look to see me back maybe around December about that, but that is very important. So we have the beach house renovation. They're renovating the beach house, the restrooms on both sides, the playground equipment, everything over at Bass Lake it's going to be so nice. Thank you to you guys for allocating funds to that. But I think that these things have to get addressed too, because otherwise we're just putting lipstick on a pig of a pretty building, but we have some issues. So we have the stormwater drainage. That renovation plan did not include heating and cooling in the building, which I think would be nice. It could probably be a pretty good moneymaker if we could have events there in the winter. The cooling is kind of second. An electrical upgrade at the campground. We had something burn up a couple weeks ago that had to be repaired.
You talking upgrade or you wanting meters?
Well,
You, the council would want meters.
I know that has been the big talk, and so I guess I figured when it came time to get bids, I get bids on both and we go from there. I know it'd be more expensive, but
It might not hurt to start getting bids on both of them,
Yeah.
okay,
upgrading and meters.
yes, sir. I'll do that. The sewer lines be under the highway. I think the same thing that's going on with the water lines, it's probably going on with the sewage lines as well. I mean, they're just old and
Right.
so that one will be a big one. I have looked into grants for both of those, and Edwin from Curbsy doesn't think this property is gonna be a good fit for those because it needs more residences and it will have to be low to middle income. The residences around the campground are not, so he doesn't really think that would, so I'm still looking into that. And then the other few little things there at the end. The expensive things are the more important things, unfortunately. So I just wanted to introduce myself. I wanted to give you something to chew on, and I'll be back
All right.
soon.
Mayor, you don't mind stand up and introduce yourself to the crowd.
Oh, hi, everybody. I'm Amy Flora, new park superintendent, so nice to see everybody. Email or call me if you need anything, and that's David, he's on the board as well.
Thank you.
Hey,
Thanks,
to
guys.
what Curbsy has for grants, keep an eye on the Okra Community Block Grant Program. Every year they come out with a new round. Don't know how that's gonna work with the new governor and lieutenant governor next year, but they've done wastewater, drinking water grants, facilities grants in the past. I would hope that those types of grants would be available again in the future.
Yeah, me too. I will definitely look into that. And if you guys would want, I can send you, all three of you, a copy of the plan for the renovation, just so you can see it. I meant to do that ahead of time, so I'll do it tomorrow.
Okay.
I've seen it, but I want my.
Okay, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Bernadette.
Gave you one earlier. Just like in the past 2 years, I would like to turn the courthouse green again. At least through November 4th through the 11th for honor our veterans. I know we got some LED lights in the past, I believe it was last year. I just want you guys to light up the courthouse again for
Sure.
honor our veterans. I know it went a little longer than the 11th. I don't care if you keep it green all month in November or just the dates, but I would like to honor our veterans that way.
Absolutely.
You will remind Rick when it gets closer.
I can do
He'll
that.
be the one changing the light.
Okay, I know we got some LED lights that you can put on the ledge
Yeah,
that shine
yeah,
up, that he can change colors
Yeah.
and turn it green pretty easy that way. Next one is House Enrolled Act 1328. Provides clerks that do the voter registration a little extra money only on even years. Partially because of all the extra work that we have to do for elections now. And security is huge right now. All the extra security training, all the extra plans that we have to have in place, all the extra security for all, not only the courthouse for early voting, but as well as all 7 vote centers. If you want to know more in detail on what the security is, come talk to me. It's not public knowledge, of course, because security.
Right.
But we do have a very detailed plan. Anything from electrical outages to bioterrorism. So it was a lot of extra work. Right now, early in person, the council approved it earlier. I don't know if, do they both have to approve it? What, I don't know.
I believe
You have
we'll
to-
have to approve it, but I mean, it's mainly. up to the council.
Okay, the council approved it earlier today. But and just to give you, we've had record number of turnouts, I mean, early voting. I'm looking for record turnouts on election day as well. We've only been open for 8 days. We've voted 1,523 people in person. Today alone, we did 239 of those. The first day we opened, I had to open a third machine because we were so busy and there were so many people waiting in line. So there's 3 machines, not 2. It's been record turnout so far. And we've done 483 absentee mail ballots so far, so. Over 2,000 people have voted and we're only 8 days in. So,
Who had, Dave, who had to do anything to the wage with her?
For the salary ordinance,
Yeah.
no, that'd be considered more like a bonus.
Okay.
Well, actually, let's ask Justin just to make sure, but salary ordinance, as far as that.
We won't have to make a salary order.
that's all I have, guys.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
There's 2 different things, solar and the
I think-
agreement.
There are 2 different ones, I believe so. And if I'm right, Hoosier has like a central and they also have like a North Bend, and I'm not sure if that's it. Justin might know more than me.
Do you want me to?
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind.
So we'd actually gotten 2 quotes. I don't know if you guys had seen, 2 different companies that wanted to do post permit compliance work for us. One of them was, of course, the BSG, I believe, and the other one was the company that Bob Lloyd works
Yes,
for.
yes.
I think it's a new company.
Right.
It's NPR. I can't remember the name, but both had submitted quotes for the post permit compliance work. Again, if you want to look at them, because I know that the latest one just came in from the last week. So if you want time to compare apples to apples, you can do that. One of them one of them's obviously a little bit less. Again, if you have questions about it, I think you may have a representative or 2 here from either company. Maybe they can explain a little bit further, but depending on what you guys want to do with that.
So we either would have to pick one or the other, right? Correct?
Well, I mean, I suppose they don't have to be the same companies for each project, but for purposes of redundancy, it might make a little bit more sense to go with one company. I guess that's your guys' call. They have submitted. Sorry, sure.
Well, I was just wondering if we need to like send it out for bids or something, you know.
That's what I was just gonna ask, because I know there's someone else that's confronting me about this.
So you can. When it comes to service agreements, they're differently than public works projects. So service agreements, that's why engineering contracts don't typically have to be bid out, but you can. To get a better bid if you want to.
Right.
You've got 2. Both of them are public documents, so they're accessible by any bidder. Or if the companies that had bid, they want to rebid, you can if you think you can get a better price other than what you have in front of you. So service projects, again, don't usually have to be bid, or service contracts, but you can. So just to sum that up.
I just think it'd be more fair, because like I say, this was never really brought out this public hearing. And again, I don't believe it's from the county, it's from the say who you're in next area, it's them that pays it, not the county.
Well, the county never, I guess, openly said, we're looking for this, turn it in. At least that was my understanding. I think obviously the service isn't a bad idea.
Right.
I think.
Oh,
you have
yeah,
to
I
agree
think,
that-
so, yeah,
But if you want to do a formal bidding process if you think you can get better bids, then you can.
right. I think it don't be fair just because, I mean, everything else we do here, we bid out, the concrete work too,
Sure. It's not a cheap undertaking, obviously.
right? Thank Mark.
Yeah. We're gonna get, you've got someone, a third entity that's interested in participating in, our decision-making processes. Give us another option, that's fine. I mean, it's pretty much firmed up what the solar company is going to give us, you know, that was in the EDA, so
Right.
that's the only, I think, the only really limiting factor as far as what what I'm willing to spend on this. But if you guys want to, you know, if you want to look at other things, that's fine. I'm good with not taking a final action on this tonight.
Yes,
Only to Mark's point, that I want to point out, to adjust what we would pay to reimburse. You'll just need to make sure that you follow the timeline. The council updated the EDA for a hearing for November. Today, for Hoosier. And so, just to make sure that we're open to updating it. I think that a couple of the numbers that have come back are 140, 150. We're open to that to keep this moving, for you all. We just need to update that at your commissioners meeting to update the EDA that the council passes.
all right. Up to you, Mark. I mean, if you wanna make a decision tonight, you can. I'd like to wait at least one more meeting
Yeah, I
and
mean,
give the other person there, our local person.
I like that idea.
So we'll table it for tonight until our next meeting,
Do you want copies of those in your mailboxes?
please. Yeah, in the box, not the emails. Thank you. You hear that, Mark?
Yes, I heard.
Okay. Need a motion to set the, approve the commissioner's claim for 396, 446, 82.
So moved.
Second.
On favor?
Aye.
Motion to set the payroll claims. 315, 169, 93.
So moved.
Second, on favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Grace, is this the utilities that you got on it?
So that's the thing that Mike wanted you, all three of you to sign.
Right, and this is just for the Annex 2 renovation? For him to get his half down to start.
We already approved all that.
Yes, it's all approved at the last meeting. We didn't sign. They
Not
paid
the
for it.
folks. She didn't add anything to it. I suppose you could just sign anywhere.
Anywhere?
Yep, as long as your name is on it.
That battery deal.
Yeah.
Someone up here to talk about the battery. Okay, I didn't see you, Chris, sorry.
Sorry. I'm gonna leave some pamphlets out here, so these are takeaways for whoever wants them about our battery storages. So, good evening. Thank you for letting us be on the agenda and at the meeting tonight to talk about battery storage. So I think everyone's familiar with me, but I'm Chris Neff. I'm the developer of the project out here in regards to the Dunsbridge Solar 2
solar and battery storage project. So I'd like to call on our project team that's come out here today to help talk about battery storage, address any questions or anything like that. So obviously I introduce myself. Next, if you could, I have Jeff Collins with me, if you could stand up. Jeff is our Director of Energy Storage Integration at NextEra. We also have with him Evan Shea. You can stand up, Evan. He's our Senior Project Manager for Battery Storage Development. We also have Kelly Kraft. Kelly's our Senior Manager of Projects for Engineering and Construction. We also have Tammy Westgate with us. She's the Project Manager in Engineering and Construction on this project. We have Jake Seletsky. He's the Project Manager for the PV array, so the photovoltaics, the solar project. We also have Andrew Mena with us. Good, stand up, Andrew. He's the Project Manager for the BESS Engineering and Construction, so the battery storage system. We also have John DiRoberto with us. Good, stand up, John. He's our BESS engineer on the project, so the battery storage engineer. And then we also have with us today, Anthony Natali. I don't know if you can see him in the back. So Anthony is actually not with our company. He's a Director of Risk and Response with a group called Fire and Risk Alliance, LLC. So he's here to be able to talk about any of those concerns, any questions that come up, but he's part of those. So as you know, so if you go to the next slide on page 3, so if you go to the first page again, if you go back a page. So right now, NextEra Energy Resources operates more than 45 battery energy storage projects across the United States. We've actually constructed projects in Indiana. Our first battery energy storage project came online in 2013, and it's still operating today. So if you look on that graphic, that's just a map of where our operating and our portfolio of battery storage projects is. We go to the next slide. So as far as this project's specific details, battery storage plays a key role in this project. Its capacity up to 200 megawatts, as we talked about, of energy output on the grid. It's going to interconnect into the same switchyard that was built as part of the previous project. And this application, which everyone knows at this point, includes a 100 megawatt 4-hour battery energy storage system, which is going to be located directly adjacent to that collector substation off 421 and 10. So what that means is that 100 megawatt 4-hour number, it's capable of producing 100 megawatts of energy for 4 hours. That's what this technology is about. So if you go to the next slide on there, which is the actual layout, that is the layout that has been submitted as part of the permit application, shows where that proposed battery storage location is, right next to that collector substation, right off the corner of 421 and 10. You go to the next slide, so we're at 6 on the bottom left. It's located in Starke County, as I talked about. It's enough electricity to power approximately 80,000 homes for 4 hours. So that's what you're talking about when we talk about 100 megawatts for a 4-hour discharge duration. We're targeting commercial operations as soon as December 2026. I'd like to start construction as soon as spring 2025. And just a keynote, the battery component alone of this project is you're looking at approximately $110 million of investment for that 3 to 4 acre plot that we're talking about here. And that's not 3 to 4 acres of batteries. That includes the pad, retention pond, fence, everything like that. At this point, I'm going to pass off the presentation to our team of experts who've come out here to discuss the battery storage in more detail, including like a virtual walkthrough for it, and then also answer any questions after. So thanks, Evan.
Thanks, Chris. Thank you, commissioners. So first, we're on slide 7. We wanted to share the reasons why so many of these battery energy storage systems are being developed in communities across the country. High level, they provide power when it's needed most. They charge when demand is low, typically when the sun is shining bright, and discharge when demand is high, when people are getting back home, turning on all their lights and appliances. Storage systems also smooth out the fluctuations in frequency and voltage. Batteries can be charged and discharged very quickly, which helps to balance the grid. It avoids the need for some system upgrades. So by having battery storage, it's a great solution to relieve grid congestion as opposed to having to build big transmission lines. It also extends the hours of a renewable energy project can operate. So in this case, paired with solar to continue to discharge energy even after the sun goes down. So we have the typical battery energy storage system here on slide 8. Andrew here on the engineering team is going to give a walkthrough right after me, so I won't spend too much time on this. But really here, high level, is that we have a battery cell, which is then collected into modules, and then those are in battery racks,
and which are ultimately contained in the battery container. These modules are in these storage containers are climate controlled. Thermal management system is there in order to maintain temperature control at all hours. And in this case, we are talking about the storage site being paired with the renewable asset solar site. So really here, we're talking about the benefits of a design. So the facility that we're talking about has really great benefits for the grid, but has a relatively small footprint when you're comparing other generator types. Batteries are providing power when it's needed most. And to Chris's point, this is a long-term investment in developments. Slide 10 here. Benefits are certainly good to share, but we really do want to emphasize that our highest priority is the safety of the community and our employees. Responsible energy production begins with preparation from day one, and the 6 ways that we prepare are: first, industry testing. So batteries used in our facilities undergo rigorous tests and certification. Second, safety systems. So each container is equipped with fire protection and control systems to comply with the National Fire Protection Association, or NFPA. You might hear that a couple times. The third is temperature management. So each facility is equipped with its own thermal management system to operate within prescribed temperature range. Fourth being detection. So we have sensors that alarm when an abnormal condition arises. And then these last 2, 5, and 6, we have specific slides. So monitoring on that next slide, where each battery system is typically equipped with battery management systems, which can automatically shut down an affected unit. And this is called the, with NextEra, is the Renewable Operations Control Center, or the ROC, where we are monitoring 24/7 and can shut down the system remotely and alert local support. This last piece is around being prepared for emergencies. So we conduct training sessions to ensure first responders are prepared to manage a response if needed. We provide a first responder orientation at our newly installed battery energy storage facilities. And we offer annual refreshers to provide details on the facility, safety, and fire protection systems, and discuss best practices for public safety. I'm going to pass it on to Andrew here to walk through a site visit to give you a better picture. Thank you so much.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Andrew Mana. Thanks for having us here this evening. So I'm just going to walk you guys through what a typical battery site would look like. So if you don't mind turning to slide 15. So this is an example of a battery site located in Florida, in Parrish County, close to geographically the Tampa area. You guys can geographical location where it's at. So we're gonna walk through this from right to left. So what you see to the right there, that's an example of a battery container. It's about 20 feet long, 8 to 12 feet wide, 10 to 12 feet high. It houses the batteries, control systems, thermal management systems inside of that. Think of it as more of a cabinet, whereby the doors open out. No one can actually go in to the container. So everything is externally accessible once you open those doors. And once you go to the next page, you're actually going to see a picture of what it looks like. So moving on to the next piece of equipment, you've got the inverters or the PCSs. That's equipment that actually converts the DC energy of the batteries into AC energy that is actually serviceable and usable on the grid. So those are bidirectional that allow the batteries to charge and discharge whenever the need arises. So those typically will convert the DC energy, which is about 1500 volts, convert that to AC energy, which is about 600. That then gets stepped up to about 34.5 kV, which then goes through the collection system, which is to the rightmost, which you see here noted as medium voltage bus. In this particular case, the collection system was overhead. So you see a lot of vertical structures, cables overhead, and also see, power poles here and there on the substation. But alternatively, it could also be underground, with underground cables running to your collector substation. So that's just kind of a walkthrough of what a site would look like once you approach it from the outside. So if you don't mind turning to slide 15. This is what it looks like once you open the doors. So you see here, you've got a series of racks. Each rack has a number of modules inside of it. At the top of which is your rack, is your rack BMS or battery management system. What that does is that it monitors the conditions of each of those modules down to the cell level and takes readings of voltage, temperature, and other characteristics of the system. And then that communicates it out to our SCADA system and back to our remote operation control center. So we have 24/7 visibility to the site, down to the cell level. Okay. So, and again, just kind of give you guys a sense of scale. Those racks are about 10 foot high. That's a scale part on the side. All right, I might go to slide 16. So slide 16 is essentially what a battery module looks like once it's opened up. So this is a battery module of that particular model opened up with the cover taken off. Inside, you're going to see a row or rows of battery cells themselves. I would say they're about slightly larger than this, maybe about a book, about that dimension. And essentially you have them connected in series and parallel, which allows us to then step up the voltage and the current to the normal operating required specifications for that system. So just keep in mind, each manufacturer has different design specifications for these. This is just an example. So in this particular case, these modules are about 250 pounds. They're about over 4 feet, 4 feet in length. And some of these things are pretty heavy, so they pack some weight to them. All right. Let's move on to slide number 17. This covers the safety protection system inside the container. So this is your thermal protection system, so your fire safety, smoke detectors, etc. As you probably heard from my colleague Evan here, he mentioned NFPA code, UL codes. I can't stress this enough. These systems are designed to meet the industry standards, the most current industry standards, safety standards, and codes that apply to energy storage systems. So you've probably heard about UL 9540 and NFPA 855. So all those are codes and standards that are used, that we designed the system to meet, essentially. So just to kind of give you an idea of some of these testing standards, UL 9540A is a standard that is used by the battery manufacturers to determine how that particular system is going to fail and what mitigating steps are needed in order to prevent cascading failure. NFPA 855 is a standard that is used on a system level to essentially determine what safety measures are required to make sure that the system as a whole meets the required safety standards. So we do have, as you heard, Anthony here to talk about that if you have any additional questions about it, but we'd be happy to answer any questions you have. All right.
Yep.
All right, moving on to the next slide. So this is just an additional example of the thermal protection system at the module level. In this particular case, this particular battery module had it built inside of the system. So essentially what this does is those orange strips, if there's if the temperature inside the module or the cell goes above a certain threshold, it would release a certain agent in there to prevent propagation and minimize or mitigate thermal runaway inside the battery module. But just keep in mind that essentially all OEMs are different in their designs, but ultimately they're designed to comply with NFPA 55 and UL 9540 guidelines and requirements. And just to add to that note, by the way, the state of Indiana did pass a law last year that essentially regulates the installation, commission, and construction of energy storage projects. So that is something that we have followed and do intend to follow in this particular case. And it does require us to follow these particular steps.
And the state will check on you on that, you say?
Yeah, so, and I can talk about that. So I've actually gone through that permit process twice. So in order to actually, so after the local jurisdiction approves a permit. So first and foremost, I want to emphasize that part. The local jurisdiction has to approve a permit first before you can apply for anything with the state of Indiana.
Okay.
So once the local jurisdiction approves a permit, then you apply to it's called the Department of Homeland Security. That's the group that manages the state battery storage permit at the Indiana state level. So they make sure that all this stuff is designed with it, check how far it is from a floodplain, how elevated it is, showing that it's compliant with NFPA chapters, the National Electric Code. I think it's NFPA specifically. They focus on chapter 7 and 8, I believe. But Andrew and I have worked on 2 projects together where we've gone through that process where you have to go through that. And then also you actually have to do it again and notify them before you even commission. So before you even energize the batteries, there's another notification process that goes through that Department of Homeland Security. But that is after the local jurisdiction. So,
Thank you.
yep.
Just to add to that, there's a permit to actually construct it, and then another permit to actually operate it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll let Andrew go and then we can.
Yep. So just to finish off, temperature controlling batteries obviously is critical. So these systems all come with thermal management systems. Each manufacturer has a different system that they would provide with their batteries. But the goal is to ensure that these batteries are operating under the optimal operational conditions. And we do monitor that at all times. And just make sure that the parameters are met. And if they're not, obviously that's going to raise alarms that we would then visibly see. And obviously go out and investigate and determine what the situation is. All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Andrew. So, Anthony, do you have anything you want to say, or you just want to get to the question you need to say?
Thank you, and folks, good evening. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm just really here to address any concerns that you might have. I'm an industrial firefighter. My expertise is high voltage fires. And since 2018, I sat on the committee that writes code for battery energy storage and advocates for public safety and firefighters operating in vicinities. So that's why they asked me to come down. When things are new to our community, we have concerns. Sometimes we'll do some internet research. I'm just here to tell you the truth from our perspective. We do a lot of testing. We see a lot of this stuff on fire, a lot of R&D. So we have a pretty good idea of what goes on, what's real and what's not. And the things that you read in the paper, usually it's only a part of the story. Where I get all my advice from, everything, is usually my wife, and she's right. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you. One of the first things I would tell you without anybody asking me is, one of the biggest apples and orange differences is micro-mobility and energy storage. We're having a lot of problems with that in New York. I know you guys probably thought I was from West Texas. Those devices, the skateboards, the scooters, all of those, they're not made for what we call mobility rating. In other words, to be banged around with curbs and potholes and stuff like that. Those devices are $250. His containers probably start out at about $1 million. So you're getting a lot more quality. The 3 reasons that these batteries fail is, one, what we call mechanical. Like I said, being banged around. They're not designed for that. The other one is overcharging. How many people wake up in the middle of the night and go, the green light is on? For people over 50, we wake up in the middle of the night, but it's not to check the green light. It's usually to go to the bathroom and get top. On the other side, the last one is what we call thermal management. I would see these scooters like chained to parking meters in Manhattan and like August direct sunlight. You can't have that. They have to be temperature controlled. When you look at these systems, they usually have a minimum of 1 to 2 air conditions. If those air conditions fail, the systems shut themselves off and generate an alarm. So there's a lot of safety built into these things. But let me tell you something. Every industry, I don't care what it is, it grows. It has growing pains. I can think about going down the road with Model T Ford and go, hey, look at this, 1890 is pretty cool. You get T-boned and go, did anybody put a seatbelt in this? So it's a little bit of a learning curve. And I can tell you, every 3 years, we need to produce new codes based on what we learned in the industry. So we did it in 2020, 2023, we just met. And we're actually going to have a new set of codes with everything we've learned in the past cycle coming out in 2026. So we're trying to make things better. Questions for me? They told me to bring pizza and bagels, and I would put a smile on his face. I'm sorry, I couldn't get on a plane. I apologize. So from these facilities, what I would probably say, when I look at, like, people will say to me, would you live next door to this? Here's the answer. At the end of the day, I grew up in Brooklyn, so living next door is here to there. Like, living next door is all relevant. So that might be like 500 feet away. Nothing's, I don't want to live on top of anybody. But would I live next to one of these? Yeah, I would. Would I live next to a school? No. Kids are noisy and they can't find a waste paper basket. Would I live next to a cemetery? Absolutely. My wife wouldn't be happy. I mean, it's pretty quiet.
I wouldn't live next to a Home Depot. Nothing against Home Depot, but you're talking about constant traffic during the day, deliveries at night. The roads are getting destroyed. You realize these places after they're built, look, they just come there to maintain them. They don't make noise. It doesn't overburden your traffic and it doesn't overtax your schools or any of your other services in your community. So to me, I think about like, all I want to hear tonight is, how does this benefit me and how is this gonna hurt me? And that's really what these discussions should be about. You know, that's what allows me to make an informed decision. So, what I would do is sometimes, because I tend to do this, I get good questions after somebody leaves. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave a couple of cards. If you've got some questions, you go, hey, I didn't think about this, you know, shoot me an email and I'd be happy to answer your questions. Yeah, as I get older, I can hide my own Easter eggs. I can't remember anything anymore. So I'll leave a couple of cards, be happy to help you out and stuff. And you know what? The other thing is sometimes you read stuff online and you're like, well, no, this doesn't make sense. It's because they own it. I know it's hard to imagine. The news doesn't tell the truth sometimes. Yeah, so that's why what we want to do is we have a very, very close network. I don't know if there are any firefighters in there. We all talk to each other. So when there's an event that happens, they'll call me in New York, I'll call them in California and go, what really happened? So one of the big questions we get is, what about like, you know, like water runoff and all that good stuff? And first of all, we would never use water on these. That's what prolongs these. You just leave them alone. The other thing is they had an event in California in May. It was an internal building and they ran the sprinkler systems and all it did was cause more battery failures. They should have left it alone. But the EPA came and tested 6 million gallons of water. Only in California, you can't contain 6 million gallons of water. Well, they did. And the EPA came out and tested this, EPA Region 9, and they said, discharge it, you use it for dust control. So it's good that other people are coming out and evaluating these things, like you're not just hearing stories from people in the industry. In New York State, they had a couple of events and it was kind of similar. They came out, they tested the soil, they tested the air, and you need these third parties to come in and go, you know what? Yeah, that's right. So folks, these are all open source. You can research this stuff online. Don't take my word for it. I encourage you. Please look at this stuff online. It's coming to your community. You should be going with it.
So, would you live next to a battery facility that's such as you're talking about? If your drinking water came from the ground, you were right next to it.
It's, you know what? I appreciate that question because that's a question I would have. If I was drinking.
I assume you're from the city, or you get
Yeah.
city water.
Yeah, no, absolutely I am. And so what happens is, great question. These batteries, when they fail, nothing leaches out. It's a gas that comes out. It's a combination of hydrogen, which is in the atmosphere, carbon monoxide, dioxide, methane, natural gas. There's other components, but those are the major gases. It comes out, it's a vapor. It's not something that leaches into the ground. The second thing is, we don't recommend putting water on what's burning. Usually what we do is, and again, if any firefighters are in the room.
Donnie, if I might make a recommendation, I know there's other business we have to get to.
Nobody's even.
But if we could, if there's any questions I've got one question, but as far as questions from the public, if we could encourage them to address those directly to the Next Era folks. Like I said, we've got some other stuff we need to get to, and I'm on a kind of a time constraint myself.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And we're not gonna act on nothing tonight, Mark. We're just trying to help the public with the.
Right. And the only question I had, because it was mentioned that Next Era has been building these out since 2013, was if they had any information on, or could get the information on, the number of incidents involving Next Era constructed storage facilities, including those that, you know, are in operation, but maybe Next Era doesn't own or operate. It's been turned over to somebody else. But if there's any incidents and the number of incidents and where they had occurred that involved the need for response from either state or municipal emergency assets.
So would you like to respond? I can respond now.
Sure.
Yeah, we've had one incident happen.
Can you hear me, Mark?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
hi, my name is Jeff Collins, and we had one incident that occurred in Northampton, Stanton area of New York here. And
You want me to do that?
yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, so it was basically an indoor facility that occurred before NPA 855. They ran the deluge for 24 hours. It was part of the New York State investigation. And that was the first one that they came out and tested the soil and they found nothing. So this was New York State. I encourage you to go online, New York State Battery Energy Fire Report. You can find this. And what they did was they ran their systems, their protection systems for 24 hours, left the doors closed, and it was over. The problem never left the building. So I thought it was a good story. So again, you can see that online. Sir, I'd like to can I just answer his question real quick? So the end of your question was, are you worried about drinking the groundwater? We do not put water on these fires. The only water we'll ever use in very, very small amount is if this container, I need your fist. If this container is burning, God forbid, we might, if it's a windy day, we might put a little water on this one. This would be no different than rainwater getting it. And that's just to protect it. So no different than a house on fire. I don't want it to run down the street. So this house is probably gone. I'm just going to protect this one. So the runoff water is not something that you're going to see that's going to be a contaminant.
I'm not a firefighter.
Oh, no, that's why I had to,
But I
this.
mean, that brings up an interesting point.
Yeah.
You said you fanned off fumes. Now, are the fumes toxic? Yes or no?
It actually open source reports. So they talked about a lot of different things. Who does all of our testing? If you look at the back of the hairdryer, UL actually does this. We can actually share what a report would look like because they're all fairly the same. It's all the same stuff. So here's the real answer. I wouldn't stand next to anything that's on fire. But your question
My question
is this any worse than anything else? I don't think so, because you think about like our houses go on fire, you know, the bad stuff I keep in my garage. You think about like, you know, the commercial facilities, any HVAC facility, you basically cause Fremont to go on fire. You're not making the back of the ambulance. It's poison. Like there's so many things in our community that we don't realize. This is, again, I wouldn't stand downwind, but this is not going to produce a hazard that's greater than anything else in your community.
Well, I was just curious because if you got fumes venting and you're spraying water to cool off the next storage battery unit, won't the water absorb those toxic fumes? And then now that water is contaminated with those fumes?
I want to be respectful of Mark. I'm just going to do this real quick.
You're a
Here's
big
here's the analogy. No, here's the analogy. The way these vapors behave, propane and natural gas, you're barbecuing. If I have a propane leak, where does it go? This way. Natural gas goes like that. When these batteries vent, it rises vertically. So you're not capturing it in water and dragging it into the ground. Plus, they've done this, they've sampled in California and the New York events, and they said, there's nothing there. There's nothing that requires remediation. I would suggest you really look at those reports. Don't believe me. They're open source. I want to be respectful. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so
Yes.
depending on the size of the battery fire, you say let it burn, and then we're talking about the fumes being toxic like anything else. Would that cause any kind of evacuation to nearby homes and things that?
So great question. I'm glad you brought that up because that's always my biggest concern. You know what? I don't want to get dragged out of my house. They had a fire in California just recently. And what ended up happening was they told these people, I'm sorry, back here, you're going to evacuate and you're going to seal in place, meaning you can't go out of your house. So we looked into this, and who do you think should say you should evacuate? Like what agency do you think should say that? It's a fire scene. Who do you think should? Fire department folks? Yeah,
The
yeah, like-
EPA or somebody, I
Right.
mean,
So what ended up happening there was the fire department did sampling of that site. They found 2 parts per million of hydrogen cyanide. Hydrogen cyanide comes from plastic that's burning, that's infused with nitrogen, and it comes from cigarette smoke. That's it. That's inside the site. That's all they found. It wasn't a scientific evacuation, it was a political evacuation. So if you want to evacuate people, I always say do it based on science. Sample the air, and if the air is bad and we know what we're looking for, then I go, you need to leave your house. We haven't seen that yet. A lot of people overreact and they're probably doing it very conservatively. We have enough data points now that we can make an informed decision.
So it is possible that it could happen,
We haven't seen it yet.
right?
We haven't seen it yet. We don't evacuate for smoke, we evacuate for contaminants. And what we do is
yeah.
we follow the CDC table. It's called IDLH, immediately dangerous to life and health. That's the measurable table. So if we find something that's in excess of that table, then it's time to go. We haven't found that yet. So we're doing things, we're working on the government standards. We're not coming up with our own. If it doesn't exceed that, then okay, get out of your house. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm not positive, but I thought Mark was asking, since you've been here in Indiana since 13, have you had any fires in Indiana?
No, we haven't, so we haven't had projects in
Oh,
Indiana.
no, I was asking total across everything they've ever built, regardless of who's running it now, so long as it's in operation today. How
Okay.
many incidents there were that involved a local emergency response, utilizing, either local, municipal or state assets.
And to
I
be
was about
respectful,
to say, I've been in Indiana since 8 a.m. So I'm
Right.
to be respectful of the time here, we'll be outside after the meeting. If anybody has any questions to be addressed.
Has anybody heard that? They will be outside here of the meeting if you have a question.
John,
So, thank you.
so their economic development agreement is on your agenda for approval. County council approves it. They're the body statutorily that approves it, but historically it's come before the commissioners. So that is why it is on your agenda for approval. The economic development agreement. It has the updated language in it about the fire medical response equipment that I would have sent you guys last week. But just because you said there's nothing in front of you for approval, the EDA
Oh, that's
is
what I was
actually.
gonna say, it's not, okay.
It is, again, statutorily, the county council approves that EDA, but your guys' first project, you had the commissioners on there for approval. So just to be consistent, we had the commissioners on these economic development agreements as well.
Yeah.
This doesn't grant tax abatement, and the EDA, if the county council doesn't pass it, doesn't go into effect, but it is still in front of you as well.
Okay, so we need an approval tonight.
Consideration and however you guys want to handle it.
All right.
Yeah.
Not only with pins on representing next year, Justin and I've been working on that revised language here in the last couple weeks, so if you guys have any questions for us as you're deliberating that, just let me know.
Okay. So, what do you think?
I don't know, honestly, on that.
Yeah, the city, the county's got to find something on that. Mark, did you hear that what Justin was talking about?
Yes.
Do we want to go? How do you feel about moving forward with that tonight?
Yeah, let's send it on to the council if we can.
Okay.
Well, if need be, I'll make the motion to approve it as presented for forwarding on to the county council for further action.
I'll second. All in favor?
All right.
Aye. All opposed?
Yeah.
Lori.
Quote on top is the lowest for the work.
Okay.
The quote on top is the lowest for all the work to be done for the thing in the box. Inside the treasurer's office.
Speak up just a little bit.
Taking out the dirt. The removal of the dirt, putting in the retaining wall, making sure it's waterproof. Filling it back in, putting new seat in, putting in new sidewalk. Making the hole through the building, installing the
door and chute coming out to the inside. And on the next page, for the next bigger one. They've been bought, it says. That is the quote for the door. That's a quote for the door and the chute itself. Once it's open, I think. The second page is the picture of it, and the third page shows how it works.
The wall, 16 for the chute itself, or the door.
And outside door. And then the last one is. That will cover it on the inside, so it's not just. Out in the open.
So the cabinet's 500, the chutes.
1633.99. And then the labor. The retaining wall. Waterproofing, whatever they have to do to fix it, going through the wall, putting it in, all of that is,
Need our trailer, well,
yeah.
Mhm.
And we want me to check on the stairs coming down to the side.
They want this in full then, or half and half, or
He did not say, but he said that when, this is just the estimate, and if the final bill is less, then it would be less. So, didn't really ask for anything, so probably half, however it's usually done, say.
Is there anything in there, because I don't have it in front of me, any detailed description or engineering drawings on how, I think you mentioned the last time around, there was going to be work on a retaining wall. I just want to know what that design looks like and make sure it's one of those properly constructed ones, and not just a pile of bricks all lined up pretty that may be prone to failure in the event of a large amount of rain.
we do not have a picture of them, Mark.
We can put something on. Yeah. And I have something like me, sure.
We can table it till next meeting, and I can ask her to ask them. To come up with some kind of design or picture for the retaining wall.
Opportunities. That good opportunity. Yeah.
I
Didn't
just-
write it in here, but he said that he secures it all together. So it's not just stacked up blocks, it's all connected, sealed together. And waterproof,
That's from Larry you're talking.
yes.
You get the total on these.
13,516.99. 13,516.99.
15,000?
And the other one, 16,000 just for the work, and the other one, 14,000, or 13.
Right,
And this is all the work.
all of it plus the cabinet plus the door plus the tube, yes. And it could be a little less with the work and the cabinet at the end. Those are just the estimates.
But that pricing includes estimates for that cabinetry.
Yes,
Okay.
Yes, the 1356.99, the cabinet, the. Box itself is gonna go in the wall or the chute. And the labor. Labor and the material. And he does have in here, build retaining wall with wall blocks to match as closely as possible to the wall blocks. Up through the wall. All the shooting safe. Put dirt behind the wall and seed it, all off all debris. There's no picture. Heard Lori, they're gonna glue the retaining wall together.
And is this a project we're using funds from her budget for, or is she asking for an additional appropriation from the council for this?
It'll be out of King Cap.
Are we good? Have we checked that balance lately?
Yeah, no tree.
I do not.
We can check it, and if there's not enough in there where you see it.
All right, yeah, I think I'd like to table this for tonight.
You say you want to?
I don't have any of the stuff in front of us. And I'll make that as a motion if need be.
Yeah, I'll second that.
The table.
Yeah, table.
All in favor?
All right.
Right, the next meeting. Hey, you got in?
Well, I was just gonna say about that, were you thinking about maybe checking on the stairway too, as part of
No,
that?
I got Rick checking on the other stuff,
Oh, okay.
so I'll just do it that route. That's what she mentioned that when she came over.
Oh, I heard.
Unless you want it all included, man, I just figured
No,
all the other.
I didn't know if it was the same time, if it was the best time to do it. Or
It will be,
so nobody's walking downhill anymore.
right? Got anything?
I don't have anything.
Yes.
Gotta run unless you have
Okay.
any questions for me, Wes.
Not bad. Thank you, Teresa.
Thank
Anybody else from the public? Go ahead.
I was just wondering, did we get the water sample results yet from the highway department?
We are working on it.
Oh, we don't have them yet.
No.
Okay.
All right, motion adjourned.
I'll make that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah. You guys would step out in the hall. I got another executive meeting right now. Here is cards if anybody wants to start.
No.
What do you want, Marlene? What's the brother? Oh, my God. Yeah, that's
Yeah, thanks. Tonight, Margot is on a 10-year, then the company is not allowed to speak.
You. Because I'm gonna shut everything off. I'm gonna tell him just to call you. Let me just can you put that switch up for me right there? Okay.
Sean Freezy, good.
Hey, Mark, can you just call Don's phone?
Everything else just.
Yeah.
I can see you guys.
I know,
Or do you
it's
wanna-
recording though, isn't it?
Oh,
It's recording.
We're still streaming on YouTube, yeah.
Yeah.
I can.
That needs to die.
I'll bundle our phones and we'll just put you on speaker.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks,
I'm-
Mark.